المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Sabah al khair. And welcome to Morning Baraka. My name is Ali Fadhil and welcome to the show. It's here, Friday the 6th of October, 20th of Rabi' al-Awwal. The time is 10:32 a.m. UK time. Now, a lot going on in the show, so let's take a look at what's coming up. Starting this blessed day with a very blessed person, I am welcoming on to the show to speak about community sports, Shafiq Ghavani. It's going to be a very, very interesting conversation with him. And also, starting the morning with a very blessed person, none other than my friend and teacher, Sayyid Ali al-Nawab, who'll be dissecting some of the signs of Imam Mahdi's reappearance. And later on in the show, I give you a rundown of the top news stories that emerged this week. And there you have it, today's schedule. As you can see, we're going to be kickstarting the conversation. And did you know that there are tournaments and sports tournaments between jama'ats, between mosques? We're going to deep dive into that with Shafiq Ghavani very, very early into the show. The signs of the reappearance, it is Friday, so we're going to be talking about Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjallahu ta'ala Farajul Sharif, on the hour. And then later on in the show, we're going to give you a roundup of the latest news in sports coming to you from the Shia world, courtesy of our dear friends Shia Waves News Agency. Now, as ever, with Morning Baraka, we start the day with a blessed supplication. Dua al-Ahad, the supplication of the covenant. A revered prayer in Shia Islam, and although the common misconception is that this dua is to be recited on Fridays alongside dua al-Nudba, it is actually recommended to recite every day. However, it being Friday, a day we dedicate to the remembrance of Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjallahu ta'ala Farajul Sharif, listen to the following supplication as we express our loyalty, devotion, and commitment to the Imam and his cause. I'll see you in a few minutes.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم رب النور العظيم ورب الكرسي الرفيع ورب البحر المسجور ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والزبور ورب الظل والحرور ومنزل القرآن العظيم ورب الملائكة المقربين والأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم إني أسألك باسمك الكريم وبنور وجهك المنير وبنور وجهك المنير وملكك القديم يا حي يا قيوم أسألك باسمك الذي أشرقت به السماوات والأرضون وباسمك الذي يصلح به الأولون والآخرون وباسمك الذي يصلح به الأولون والآخرون يا حيان قبل كل حي ويا حيان بعد كل حي ويا حيان حين لا حي يا محيي الموتى ومميت الأحياء يا حي لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم بلغ مولانا الإمام الغادي المهدي القائم بأمرك صلوات الله عليه وعلى آبائه الطاهرين عن جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها، سهلها وجبلها وبرها وبحرها، وعني وعن والدي من الصلوات زنة عرش الله ومداد كلماته وما أحصاه علمه وأحاط به كتابه. اللهم إني أجدد له في صبيحة يومي هذا وما عشت من أيامي عهدا وعقدا وبيعة له في عنقي لا أحول عنها ولا أزول أبدا. اللهم اجعلني من أنصاره وأعوانه والذابين عنه والمسارعين إليه في قضاء حوائجه والممتثلين لأوامره والمحامين عنه والسابقين إلى إرادته والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم إن حال بيني وبينه الموت الذي جعلته على عبادك حتما مقضيا فأخرجني من قبري مؤتزرا كفني شاغرا سيفي مجردا قناتي ملبيا دعوة الداعي في الحاضر والبادي. اللهم أرني الطلعة الرشيدة والغرة الحميدة واكحل ناظري بنظرة مني إليه وعجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه وأوسع منهجه وسلك بي محجته وأنفذ أمره واشدد أزره واعمر اللهم به بلادك وأحيي به عبادك فإنك قلت وقولك الحق. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس فاظهر اللهم لنا وليك وابن بنت نبيك المسمى باسم رسولك صلى الله عليه وآله حتى لا يظفر بشيء من الباطل إلا مزقا ويحق الحق ويحققا واجعله اللهم مفزعا لمظلوم عبادك وناصرا لمن لا يجد له ناصرا غيرك ومجددا لما عطل من أحكام كتابك ومشيدا لما ورد من أعلام دينك وسنن نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله واجعله اللهم ممن حصنته من بأس المعتدين. اللهم وسر نبيك محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله برؤيته ومن تبعه على دعوته، وارحم استكانتنا بعده. اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة، اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة بحضوره، وعجل لنا ظهوره. إنهم يرونه بعيدا ونراه قريبا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ثم تضرب على فخذك الأيمن بيدك 3 مرات وتقول كل مرة: العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان، العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان، العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
Yes, Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, Ya Mawlai, Ya Sahib al-Zaman. That was Dua al-Ahad brought to you from scenes of Karbala and the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Inshallah, it's closer to the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi Ajallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif. Now, welcome back, dear viewers. If you've just joined us, you're watching Morning Baraka live on Imam Hussein TV 3. Now, when you think of mosques, jama'ats, Husseyniyat, you think workshops, you think Salah Jama'ah, for example, Q&A sessions. Now, every now and then you might get a barbecue outside in the car park, depending on the weather. Maybe some table tennis in the main hall or the main Salah hall for a few hours. But a structured sports initiative where its youth and adults can get involved in a professional, semi-professional, amateur manner, taking on teams from other mosques with prizes is either rare or isn't talked about enough. Now, I'm delighted to be joined by former chairman of Stanmore Jaffrey, Shafiq Govani, he's taken time out of his busy schedule, and I really, really appreciate it, because this topic, I've been tracking it for the last couple of years, and for the life of me, I wanted to speak to someone who can give me the ins and outs of how it was created, what it's all about, and what we can expect, inshallah, for the future. So, Shafiq, welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Thank you very much.
How's everything? Inshallah, all is well?
Everything's fine.
Getting into the studio, everything
Absolutely,
okay?
totally.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I wanted to start, I guess, with the first question. In terms of your experience, you've seen it over a couple of years. So yeah, in terms of how did it all start? Where did it all begin? Sports in a structured way, especially when it comes to Stanmore first, Stanmore Mosque.
Absolutely.
And then we'll kind of talk about more the international side of it. So how did it all start?
No, absolutely. So the sports has been a very crucial part of the whole setup of the communities that have been built up. From East Africa. Yeah. When the community then migrated to London, UK, right. North America, etc. Sports has always been an instrumental part of the journey. And that's been one of the sort of main parts of the activities, as you rightly mentioned. Yeah. Yeah. What we have seen over the past, I would say, 7 to 8 years, is the fact that we've got a very good foundation on sports activities in some certain very specific sports that are very dear to the Khoja community, right. like volleyball and football. And I'll come back to that in later on. Yeah. We've now tried to set a structure around it. Okay. What has been lacking in the past has been the structure, the framework, a bit more organized setup. And that's what we tried to do around 2015, 2016. Mm-hmm. When we saw that we've done a very good job in terms of the sports itself, but now we need to put a framework around it.
What kind of caused you to start this framework, this organized way? What was it that kind of pushed you to that?
So in my professional background, I've been a firm believer of organizational structures.
Okay.
Whether it's a small company, larger company, whatever my engagement has been, it's been very organized. My previous experience in the community has been, so I've been the principal of madrasa back in 2006.
MashaAllah.
I've also had some quite important roles in setting up youth structures within the community widely within the World Federation.
Yeah.
Then I took a long break and my kids were growing up and they now started playing sports within the Stanmore Jaffrey setup. And at that point, I was invited to get more and more involved and engaged.
Yeah.
So I said, let's have a look at this.
Yeah.
So how does it actually work?
Okay.
And you know, with anything in life, you want to do a good job.
Yeah.
Actually, you don't want a good job. You want to do an excellent job, right? And so we said, why don't we do that same mentality that we have in our professional careers?
Yeah.
The mentality that we have in our family lives, where everything's organized, set, there's a vision, there's ambition, and there's structure.
Yeah.
And so with that mindset, we said that team of people, we got together and we said, listen, we need to apply this to the Stanmore Jaffrey sports as well. So that's how it started.
Right. So I guess, so it's established. Tell us about, I guess, some of the benefits of like friendship building, community cohesion. And what were the kind of, I know it's still ongoing, but what were the results that you've seen over the work that you've done, bringing the structured sports within a Jama'at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, the fruits of the previous deliveries and you know the work that's been going on for so long, the previous leaders, you can see those kind of benefits from there.
Yeah.
What the added benefits we've seen over the past 6 to 7 years in particular is in life people are attracted to quality.
Yes.
Now you get a certain group of people, a certain number of people attending, but when you have a bit more quality to it, a bit more structure to it, semi-professional, professional, whatever you want to call it, you're now attracting more people in terms of attendees, kids who want to play, adults who want to play. But also what we've seen is that one of the instrumental parts of this setup are the volunteers.
Right.
Inevitably, right?
Right.
And what we managed to do in the last 6 to 7 years is that we've attracted, for example, when we started the Stanmore Jaffrey's Football Academy back in 2015, 2016.
Okay.
Now, prior to that, it was a very good delivery. But we then saw, okay, so how does it work in the grassroots out there under the FA umbrella?
Okay.
We looked at that structure and said, we want to implement that club structure into our community structure because our kids, our adults, our members, they deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually deserve it, the quality of that standard.
Yeah.
So we took that framework, we took that benchmark, and we brought that into our community. And over the past 6, 7 years, it started with football, but it spread across the other sports segments we have, from volleyball to racket sports to cycling to running. So yeah.
Okay, so that's because the way I can envision this, okay, you have a pool of youths, and you wanted to do something of high quality for them to be attracted to. Did other mosques within the region, were they also in line with your vision?
So what we did, Stanmore Jaffrey, we took the lead on this to set up the structured approach. Once we had delivered ourselves, because you want to make sure that it works before you start spreading the word.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, football department is going to be a starting point. We put a structure around it. Once we had delivered for 2 to 3 years and we saw that it was working, it was bringing the benefits, we then started talking, interacting with the other European Jamaats, Birmingham, Peterborough, Leicester, etc.
Okay.
Where we said, okay, listen guys, we are doing this, it's working, and would love for you to undertake the same journey.
Right.
And alhamdulillah, we've seen those clubs now flourishing as well.
So when you say those clubs, so for example, Stanmore, is it tournaments between yourselves in Stanmore Mosque, or is it you guys train and you play against other communities outside of London?
Interesting question. So historically, it was once a year. You have a tournament on the bank holiday, August.
Okay.
Where all the Jamaats get together.
Right.
You know, all sports disciplines, ladies, gents, adults, children. And that was the main element or main key point of the sports year. What's happened now over the years is that with this structured approach, it's a bit more. So yes, we do play the annual tournaments between the Jamaats. Okay, we have internal Jamaat tournaments as well, so within Stanmore, within Birmingham, etc.
Okay.
But not only that, there are global tournaments as well.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the local, the regional, and the global ones, which is in a way the Olympics of the of the Muslim sports, if you like.
Do you know this is brilliant because I was in Tanzania a year or two ago, and we were speaking to the Jamaat there. They're like, "Oh, let's go play." I love volleyball.
Yeah.
Not in a professional sense, but my father used to take us 20 years ago, and every single year in the summer, my father and his friends would come along to the park. He brings in nets and a wire and everything. So
lovely.
It was semi-structured in a way. And I fell in love with the sport. I didn't take it professional, even semi-professionally, but I just loved playing it.
Yeah.
So whenever they speak about volleyball, when I was in Tanzania, I'm like, yeah, I really want to play. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, have you heard, by the way, we take on teams from Toronto, we take on teams from like Minnesota and all that. I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. So fast forward, I get to Minnesota, like, yeah, do you know we had tournaments against Tanzania? I'm like, oh, wow. And again, I go to Toronto. So wherever I go, they're all talking about this tournament, this volleyball tournament that they have on an annual basis, I think. I think this year it's going to be in Dubai.
Yes,
in
Dubai, exactly. Yeah, so that is the Olympics of our setup. So essentially, just going back to what you just said, so there are tournaments scattered around. Yeah. There will be North American tournaments, there will be European tournaments. Yeah. Some of the European teams will travel to North America.
That's brilliant.
Stanmore Jaffrey is always trying to have a team there, and alhamdulillah, we've been blessed by attending quite a few tournaments and doing well as well.
Yeah.
And then you have the global tournaments, which takes place every 2 to 3 years.
So who's the running champion of volleyball?
So in volleyball, it is currently Toronto is one of the top teams. Okay. In the sort of the Unity Games. So the games in Dubai are called the Unity Games. Okay. Okay. And last year, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago, back in 2019, Toronto Jaffrey's played against Morogoro, which is the East African team. Okay. Okay. And it was a fantastic tournament. Yeah. Great delivery, great sportsmanship across the whole setup. Yeah. I mean, Dubai Jamaat, would like to give them hats off for the delivery they do every time they take up this responsibility. Fantastic. It's a massive commitment.
On that note, what is, so if you're hosting a tournament, this is fantastic stuff, by the way. It's like, this is like the World Cup and hosting stuff. So if you're hosting a tournament, what are you responsible for?
So coming back to Stanmore Jaffrey's then, because we do host quite a few tournaments, and just spinning on from the volleyball tournament, and I'll give another example as well. We have the Vilaya tournament, which is every 2 to 3 years. Okay. And we host teams from Europe, from North America, from Dubai, etc. And just on the reigning champions, Stanmore Jaffrey does have that title, just to put it in there. And it is from arranging food. It's booking the courts. Okay. It's making sure the schedules are in place. Okay. It's making sure the teams that come and attend, hospitality is taken care of. Right. So it's a big job. It's a job, but the beauty is, the support that you tend to get from volunteers, it's amazing. Really? Whether it's in Stanmore, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Dubai.
And so these tournaments, they're not specific to males only. You have obviously a sisters section that have their own tournaments as well. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I mean, the growth that we've seen over the past 6 years, in particular on the ladies' side, has been absolutely phenomenal. The number of sports segments they take part in, from football to netball to volleyball as well, it's becoming a big sport within the ladies now. But the number of attendees, you've got the young girls starting at a very early age, commitment. You have sometimes people do attend sports once every now and then, but you got regular attendance. You got the adults as well. So the girls' side or the ladies' side is flourishing as well.
Fantastic. So does it cost quite a lot to, I guess, set up these tournaments?
There is a massive cost. Okay. Because inevitably you got food, you got the hall hire, you got the equipment, you got the trophies, and it all builds up at the end of the day, right? And I'll give you the example. So we have a tournament called the Salam Cup. Okay. Which is the football tournament for youths. Okay. We started that back in 2017, and we have been fortunate that we have a community where companies and individuals support these causes. Okay. So either it's in anonymous, Bande Khuda, as we call them, or actual companies coming and sponsoring.
Yeah.
And just spinning back to the earlier conversation we had, so why structured sports? Yeah. Now, these companies have been supporting the sports segments over the years. But what we want to do is that we want to give back. So we tell a company, come and sponsor us, and we know that you're going to do it anyway because of your love for sports and love for the community. Yeah. But here we're offering you a marketing opportunity. Okay. So whether it's a pharmacy or a manufacturing company or any industrial sector, we're actually giving them a marketing platform so that they can promote their business as well. And that was part of our agenda, that have structured sports, invite these sponsors who can invest into the community and sports. But in return, it is our responsibility to give them a platform to market their company as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so tell us about, I guess, very, very lastly, in the last couple of minutes that we have, the overall benefit. I really love the idea of bringing different communities globally together, because it creates a bit of a network. You share experiences, share stories, share good practice. Of course. So tell us a bit more about, I guess, the added benefits of having something more international. Although, yes, there are costs involved and there's a bigger responsibility, bigger commitment, but I'm sure in the long run, there's added benefit to make sure there's a network. Tell us a bit more about that.
I mean, let me just quickly shed some light on the added benefits locally. Yeah. With structured coaching, for example, has more than 40 FA1 minimum F1 level qualified coaches. Brilliant. So it's not just a volunteer appearing there and delivering, but they've gone through training as well. Yeah. Okay. So you get quality delivery to the kids. What that also does is not only on the pitch. Now, my child has a coach who he talks to and is trained by every week in, week out. Now you've got someone to speak to. Wow. You've got someone to relate to. And you see that when we go to mosque. Yes. When they talk to each other, the young children will go to the coach. They'll say, "Salam, uncle. How are you?" And that bond is also being created, right? Moving on to your initial question in terms of the collaboration with the communities. I've seen over the past 5 years that the collaboration between the communities, not only in the region, so Europe, for example, but internationally has increased. And what happens is that you're actually sharing best practice. You're feeding off each other. Learning from each other, and I think that's what the community is all about. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Sometimes we do a lot of work for our local areas. Yeah. But actually strengthening the bonds between different communities internationally, you create more of a global bond. Absolutely. Rather than just a local bond. Absolutely. Do you know what? This conversation is really fascinating, and I'd love to carry on speaking about the added benefits of structured sports within our community. Is there one thing that you can recommend to anyone who's listening, who's kind of involved in their local communities, how they can start something like this up?
Absolutely. I mean, we have always opened our doors from Stanmore Jaffrey's, and we've proactively spoken to people if they wanted any ideas or any help and assistance. So that offer is still there. I mean, otherwise, you look at your local setup. So, for example, when we started our football setup, we looked at the FA. How does that work? Okay. Similarly, if you go to North America, you look at your local setups and see how you can emulate that and bring in the elements that are important to make this more structured.
Fantastic, fantastic. Shafiq Ghavani, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Shukla.
Brilliant, brilliant. So that was Shafiq Ghavani, former chairman of Stanmore Jaffrey's, who gave us a fantastic insight into structured sports within our Jama'at. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he is given blessings, but also that their work is emulated across all of our communities, inshallah, so that we can strengthen the bonds between us through sports. So yes, you have the run-of-the-mill workshops, lectures, Q&A, but sometimes in order to get the youth to the mosque, you might need to entice them with sports. And so hopefully that is something we can have a look into for the near future. Now, coming up after the break, I am going to be on this. Oh, he's on your screen now. A very humble figure, but I'm blessed to know this person. He's my teacher, my mentor, my dear friend, Sayyid Ali Nawab. We're going to be speaking about the signs of the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So that will be after the break, inshallah. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Jiddu, I need to tell you a secret. I had an exam today and I cheated on the exam, and to be honest, I feel like it's eating me up inside as if it's haram.
Your father used to do the exact something and would always get in trouble. but you have done it now and cannot go back. I don't know if it is haram. Khair inshallah.
Thanks, Jiddu. Jiddu, I wanted to ask if it's halal to buy lottery tickets. They're so cheap and we could make a lot of money.
I don't know if it is halal or haram, but never think about something like that again.
Okay, I was just asking. Jiddu.
Ka'abitni, what do you want now?
I just wanted to ask if Sweet's beef gelatin is halal or haram.
You're supposed to check it before buying it, not after. I don't know if this is halal or haram.
Okay.
What now? I am trying to relax. Why do you keep asking me? تعالي هنا الخاطر الله. Just go watch Ahkam SOS. Any question you have, they can answer you. You can call them, message them, anything. Ask as much as you like. They can answer any question from any marja, okay?
Are you in court for raping English girls?
Welcome back, dear viewers of Imam Hussein TV. You are watching Morning Baraka. You just saw on your screen now Ahkam SOS. Now, why SOS? SOS is typically what we know as in case of an emergency. And most of the times the scholars are called, say it, sheikh, this is happening, blah, 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 and I don't know what to do, so please help me. Right? However, if you watch the show, you're able to learn a lot about some of the key jurisprudential issues that we face on a daily basis. So do tune in to Ahkam SOS. I don't really know what the day or the time is, but someone might tell me in my ear when the show is on. I believe it's around Monday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. So that's Monday, Wednesday, 7 p.m. That's Ahkam SOS. Now, every show, I take 2 or 3 minutes reflecting on a topic that either I'm interested in or current affairs or just anything that I want to get off my chest, basically. So today, being Friday and part of our show dedicated to Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif, I wanted to say that our obligation to actively wait for the return of Imam al-Mahdi, a central figure in Islamic eschatology, is rooted in the belief that he will emerge during a time of great turmoil and injustice, to establish a just and righteous society. While awaiting his return, we can either wait actively or passively. As Imam al-Mahdi himself says to his deputies just before his major occultation, tell my Shia to await my return by being active in engaging in acts of faith, compassion and social justice, working tirelessly to uphold the values of peace, equality and compassion in our communities. This active waiting involves preparing our hearts and minds for his leadership by embodying the principles of justice and kindness in our daily lives, contributing to the betterment of our society and fostering unity among all believers. It is a reminder that our faith is not passive, but requires us to be agents of positive change as we anticipate the eventual arrival of Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif and the dawn of a just world. Now, recognizing the signs of Imam al-Mahdi's reappearance holds immense significance for millions of Muslims around the world. Imam al-Mahdi, alayhi salam, in Shia tradition is believed to be a figure who will emerge to establish justice, peace and righteousness on earth. Now, recognizing the signs of his reappearance allows you to prepare yourself spiritually and morally for the transformative events that will accompany his coming. Now, here in the studio to dissect some of the Imam's signs, I'm delighted to be joined by Islamic researcher and lecturer Sayyid Ali Nawab. But before all that, as I mentioned earlier, he is my good friend and elder brother Sayyid Ali. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah habibi.
How are you saying? Are you okay?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm doing absolutely well, especially since I'm in your presence. Now, Sayyid, we have all the time a lot of discussions here and there, and one of them is centered around Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajul Sharif. Now, I think in terms of the discussion, you know, we know from the narrations that there are specific signs that indicate when the reappearance may occur. Now, what's interesting is that in light of kind of recent wars economic turmoil, natural hazards, is it something that we can take as seriously or consider that these are strong signs of the reappearance?
أحسنتم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me and having me on the show. Alhamdulillah, it's been a very nice, beautiful and successful show so far, and it will continue being with your expertise and with your skills, inshallah. And not worthy of all the titles you've added to my name. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us both to serve the community and the youth, inshallah. In regards with the signs and the issue of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi wa ajjalallahu farajahu sharif. You see, I wanted to clarify one point.
Now,
of course, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, during their imamah, they concentrated or they gave a very prominent position to the issue and the topic of Mahdawiyyah.
Okay.
So every imam of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, every infallible alayhi salam, he contributed, whether in terms of adding to the narrations that speak about the attributes of Imam al-Mahdi or the awaited one, or actually gave us signs, gave the Shia, whether the Shia in their time or the Shia that were coming later, signs that they should be aware of, they should be looking for. Once they are awaiting the return of the awaited one. Salamullahi alayhi. Hence, for example, at the time of Imam al-Sadiq, or at the time of Imam al-Rida, when there was a period of time, for example, or the time of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, when the Imams, they were in minor occultation, they were not seen, they weren't around for people to be able to see. There were some signs happening that they said that he is the Mahdi of our time.
Okay.
For example, at the time of Imam al-Hadi, there were people that saying he is the Mahdi of our time.
Okay.
So these signs, okay, brothers and sisters, as you said, there might be some wars, there might be some catastrophes, there might be some, signs happening that we say, yes, this is definitely the time that Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam talked about in their riwayah, where they say Imam is going to return.
Okay.
For example,
7,
8 months ago, a catastrophe happened in the region of Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, in the form of an earthquake. And that earthquake did serious damage to some parts of Turkey and Syria and the borders of Iraq. And we have in the narrations the notion of an earthquake happening in that region.
Okay.
And we also have in the narrations naming certain areas specifically that say that if these signs happen, then it is going to be an introduction into the return of the Imam alayhi salam.
Right. Okay.
For example,
Okay.
خسف في حرستا, or خسف الجابية or Bab al-Jabiyah. Harasta is an area 10 kilometers, 20 minutes drive away from the capital Damascus.
Okay.
And in that region, it was on the line where the earthquake that happened in Turkey had also affected that area.
Okay.
Now some would come and say,
What's khasfun, by the way?
Khasf is the black hole.
Black hole. Okay.
Black hole, a major catastrophe happening where a big area of land just sinks.
Okay.
So here, some came to the conclusion that this khasf, it didn't literally happen. So we can't say this is the time of Dhuhr. Although earthquake happened in Turkey, earthquake happened, but one of the signs is that a literal black hole has to appear. Now they said that, for example, in the internal war that happened within Syria, within the political parties, the unrest that happened, Harasta was one of the hard hit areas, very where the conflict was very fierce, and thousands of rockets fell into that area.
Okay.
And that area, as we say, It's not a well-established, well-built area. It has many old buildings, many old houses. So when it does go through these thousands of rockets, of course a couple of buildings here, a couple of buildings here will fall. There were people that were sitting down and they were just spending days and days just going through maps and checking the news and saying, yes, this is the time, because this area is going through destruction. And we have another sign that will go through destruction, which is the fall. For example, one of the signs is the fall of the right wall of Jami' al-Amawi in Sham. One of the signs of the Dhuhur of Imam alayhi salam is that the right wall of Jami' al-Amawi, Masjid al-Amawi Mosque, which is called in the heart of Damascus, that will demolish, that will fall. And there were news coming that the houses and the outskirts of Masjid al-Amawi, as a result of the earthquake, were being, going left and right because of. So
what you're saying is some of the signs we shouldn't really take too seriously?
Because we have riwayat that say كذب الوقاتون, those who give specific time and date for specific signs, or give specific time and date for the dhuhur. Don't believe in them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could change circumstances in a way where it would be apparent to you that this is the time of the dhuhr, but it might not be. As I said in the beginning, that there were people in the time of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they were saying that this is the time of the dhuhr, but it really wasn't. Now, regardless of that, whether it is the time of the dhuhr or it's not the time of the dhuhr, there is someone who is absent. What am I doing? Am I preparing myself for the return of that absentee? Or am I just sitting down, occupying myself with monitoring the signs of the dhuhr?
Yeah, because I think there's two types of people in this situation. Those who are passively waiting. They're just going about their daily lives. Imam Mahdi is mentioned on a Friday or his birth, where we do this really big celebration for his birth, which is fantastic, and of course it's needed. And then, on a Friday you'll have a dua nudbah, but generally it's very passive.
Just going with the flow.
Going with the flow. Whereas on the other side of things, you get those who are waqatun. I think, and they're waiting for science and sitting there with their scientific this and scientific that, and then trying to piece all the puzzles together, which is okay, I guess. If you want to spend your time trying to work out God's plan, by all means, try it. But then you have those who are doing active intidar. Can you shed light on what that actually means? What is active intidar?
Ahsantum. As you mentioned, that there were invitations after invitations by Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam towards their Shia, that we Ahlul Bayt advise you to be a person who is actively waiting for their Imam. And there were Shia and followers of Ahlul Bayt that were actively active at the time of their Imams. They weren't just living by the side of the Imam and just going on the daily business routines and business chores, daily chores. No, they were going to the Imam, spending most of their times with the Imam, asking their questions, learning, increasing into their knowledge, supplicating with the supplication of the Imam, praying with the prayers of the Imam, at least greeting the Imam in the morning, greeting the Imam, praying behind the Imam. That was when the Imam was around them. But what do we do? For me to be an active person waiting for the reappearance of the Imam, how do I relate towards the Imam alayhi salam? Do I see the Imam as he being around me? Do I feel the presence of the Imam around me? My actions, are they the actions of a person who is conscious of the fact that the Imam is looking and observing every second of his life, every movement that he makes? For example, for me to be an active muntadhir, an active person in waiting for the return of someone who has gone, and I am waiting for their return. For example, if I'm waiting for a guest, I'm waiting for an important guest, I've invited someone to my home. How am I waiting? How am I going to prepare the house for them, for example?
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure everywhere is clean. I'm going to make sure the food is prepared. The best reception is prepared for the arrival of that person, because I'm waiting for a noble individual. I'm waiting for a great friend, which I haven't seen for months and months. I will bring fruits, flowers, gifts, sweets.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
This is the best I can do for someone who is normal human being like me, that I haven't seen for a while. So what do I do to prepare myself, my home, my family for the reappearance? Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that on the news, it was announced that Imam al-Mahdi was going to appear tomorrow.
Hey.
Let's take a moment of a pause here, brothers and sisters. I am speaking to myself, Sayyid Ali. Am I literally ready for the reappearance of my Imam, the Imam that 124,000 prophets and messengers and the Ma'soomeen alayhim as-salam, Imam al-Sadiq salawatullahi alayhi says, Imam al-Sadiq, the grandfather of Imam al-Mahdi salamullahi alayhi, he comes and says, لو عشت في أيامه لخدمته طول حياتي.
Subhanallah.
Imam al-Sadiq, our sixth Imam, would come and say, if I was to live at the time of the reappearance of Imam al-Mahdi, I would have served him until the last moments of my life.
Wow. Wow.
Brothers and sisters, I don't think we understand the importance of the issue of living at the time of the reappearance of the Imam salamullahi alayhi. An active person waiting for the reappearance of his Imam, he should be living, breathing in, eating, drinking the whole issue of Mahdawiyyah.
Yeah. Sayyidina, have you ever come across, I know this is not moving away from the signs of reappearance, and it just struck me as, have you ever had like an instance where you feel like the Imam is present? Because you know, we hear all these like miracle stories where something has happened, or a random person spoke to you but guided you in a small way, and then when you look back, that person's not there anymore.
Yeah, I know there was, there have been many stories, but one thing that I personally had an interaction with, a direct interaction, was a relative of mine, their family. There were individuals who practiced the rituals specific to the night of the birth of Imam al-Mahdi on the 15th of Sha'ban.
Yeah.
There was specific supplications, specific a'mal, specific rituals that one should do from the evening of the 15th until the morning of the 15th.
Yes.
Spending the night in ibadah and reciting the supplications, the prayers, and then going to the visitation of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and preparing certain corner in the house. Of course, the house has to be tahir, clean, tidy. Preparing a corner in the house, providing certain things. And then they said, Sayyidina, and I happened to be in the city of Karbala. This happened in Karbala. That one year, the 15th of Sha'ban, I was in Karbala, and I was invited to go to the house of these relatives. And from when I entered the street, the alleyway that led to the house of the specific person that I was visiting on that day, I could already start smelling that very distinct perfume of rose that never in my life had I come across a smell of a perfume like that. It was a very special scent. As I drew closer to the house, that smell became stronger, until I entered the living room where they had prepared this corner for, you know, they had put plates of sweets, plates of dried milk, rice, a bowl, an empty bowl, a container containing pure water that they only used for this celebration. And I could see, they would say to me, Sayyidina, at night when we finish the a'mal, 15th of Sha'ban, the night of the 15th, we close the doors, no one stays at home, we lock all the doors, and we go for the Ziyara. When do we come back? Just before dawn. Before sunrise, we come back. when we unlock the main door of the house, we want to go into the living room, we sense, we see, and we find out that the living room door has been unlocked. Wow. We go into the living room, we come to that corner, we see that empty bowl that we never use, only for the celebration of Muhammad. There is water in that empty bowl. The Quran, we leave it closed. We come and see that the Quran has been opened and verses of the Holy Quran have been recited.
Yeah.
The sajada, the prayer mat, has been used.
Subhanallah.
And in one year, I saw it with my own eyes, and I kid you not, Mulla Ali. On the plate that had the dry milk, it had written, Al-Khidru Huna. And we know from the narrations that Al-Khidr alayhi salam, he is always accompanying Imam al-Mahdi salam. So I suggested, I was young at that time, I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I was young at that time. I said, okay, why don't you take footage of this, take film, camera. He said, I don't have a camera. He was a poor person. I told him, okay, I will buy you a camera. I will bring it for you. So next year, you can take. Mullah Ali, next year, before the 15th of Sha'ban, I got a phone call. He told me, Sayyidina, I saw in my dream that the Imam came to me and he said, if you take footage of this, I'm not going to come. And say salam to our son and thank him for the offer of the camera.
That's you?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh
and he
God.
said to him, Sallim ala ibnana Sayyid, and don't bring the camera.
No.
This was my direct interaction, the closest I came to a place where the Imam had been present in, and it was very emotional.
Yeah.
And gradually the word started spreading. People started to know that this house is a house where the Imam would visit. And people started saying, yes, no, is it true, is it not true? I kid you not. The years afterwards, because people's beliefs started being,
decreased a
little bit, the Imam did not visit as he was visiting in the previous years. So it is the Iman and the faith, Mullah. It is not enough for me to every Friday say, okay, I go Dua Nudba or I recite Dua Al-Ahad. And no, I have to be living. My sorrows are shared with the Imam. The Imam shares our pains. Do I share the Imam's pain? Do I pray for the Imam? Do I say salam every salah? One of the things that I do, alhamdulillah, is that I say salam to the Imam in my salah. After my salah, I pray for him. And I invite my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You say to your parents, Salamu alaikum. You say to your family members, Salamu alaikum in the morning. When you go into the house, you say, Salamu alaikum, Sayyidi, Ya ibn Rasulillah, As'alaka dua, Ya ibn Rasulillah. Count me in your dua and your supplication. Speak to him, he can hear you.
Inshallah.
And there are many more. Increasing your knowledge about the Imam. And that knowledge will move you away from makruh. And God forbid, disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and draw you towards doing mustahabbat.
Say that I would love to be able to continue this discussion. It's always a very spiritual, emotional.
For me, this is just an introduction
I
to
know.
But
in any case, we learn a lot
from you. It's a good start. It's a good start for brothers and sisters to get involved in the issue inshallah. Of the active waiting.
We look forward to having you in later shows, inshallah, to maybe continue this discussion on active intidar. That was Sayyid Ali Nawab, researcher and Islamic scholar, and my dear friend. So thank you very much for your time, Sayyid Ali. Now, moving on, inshallah, after the break, we're going to be giving you the latest news or the top news from this week, inshallah. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Jiddu, I need to tell you a secret. I had an exam today and I cheated on the exam, and to be honest, I feel like it's eating me up inside as if it's haram.
Your father used to do the exact something and would always get in trouble. But you have done it now and cannot go back. I don't know if it is haram. Khair inshallah.
Thanks, Jiddu. Jiddu, I wanted to ask if it's halal to buy lottery tickets. They're so cheap and we could make a lot of money.
I don't know if it is halal or haram, but never think about something like that again.
Okay, I was just asking. Juddu.
تعبتني. What do you want now?
I just wanted to ask if Sweet's beef gelatin is halal or haram.
You're supposed to check it before buying it, not after. I don't know if this is halal or haram.
Okay. Judd.
What now? I am trying to relax. Why do you keep asking me? تعال هنا الخاطر الله. Just go watch أحكام SOS. Any question you have, they can answer you. You can call them, message them, anything. Ask as much as you like. They can answer any question from any marja, okay?
Welcome back. Now, earlier this week, local media report. Just to introduce this segment, we're talking about the latest news this week, the top news this week that has occurred, brought to you by Shia Waves news agency. Some of these news reports are very, very important to highlight. However, these are the latest news reports that came this week. So early this week, local media report that terrorist elements in Pakistan have once again committed sectarian targeted killing by murdering 2 Shiites. These 2 Shiites were reportedly martyred brutally by Takfiri terrorists in Gulshan Hadid area of Karachi. Zuwar Hussein and his friend Akhtar Hussein were shot dead by 2 motorcycle riding terrorists of the radical Sunni Sipah Sahaba group. The Center for Research and Security Studies, based in Islamabad, has recently announced that more than 700 soldiers and civilians were killed in the first 9 months of 2023 due to terrorist attacks in Pakistan. The report reveals that terrorist attacks in Pakistan this year have increased by 19% compared to 2022, and the 2 states bordering Afghanistan have suffered 92% of the total number of casualties. Now, millions of devotees of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, peace be upon them, in Egypt and all over the world are actually eagerly awaiting for the reopening of the maqam of Sayyidah Zainab, peace be upon her. Maqam being a holy site of remembrance and prayer. The holy site is being developed by the government, and once completed in the near future, it will receive thousands of visitors throughout the year. Many maqams, mosques, holy places and shrines linked to the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in Egypt have received special attention as part of a large construction campaign and developmental plans in the Egyptian government to attend to mosques, graves and historical buildings and heritages, as reported by Shia Waves news agency this week. And finally, on a lighter note, the employees at the holy shrine of Imam Ali alayhi salam in Holy Najaf have celebrated the blessed birth anniversary of the Honorable Prophet, peace be upon him, and his pure family. Now, according to Shia Waves correspondent in Holy Najaf, the Secretariat General of the Holy Shrine organized ceremonies to celebrate the blessed occasion amid large participation of the Shia loyalists. The holy shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, or peace be upon him, was covered in flowers and roses, and banners of happiness and joy were also hung all over the mausoleum. It should be mentioned that Muslims across the world held celebrations to mark the Honorable Prophet's blessed birth anniversary and to remind the world of the great achievements and sacrifices he made for the whole of humanity. And that was the top news coming to you this week, again brought to you by Shia Waves news agency. Look out for Shia Waves daily news bulletin, Monday to Friday, I believe, at 6 p.m. UK time. They have all of the latest news, Shia and non-Shia related, all of the current affairs. So please stay tuned to Shia Waves. That's Shia Waves at 6 o'clock. They have the news bulletin on Imam Hussein TV 3. Now, the program is coming to a close. Just wanted to thank Sayyid Ali Nawab, who was talking about Imam al-Mahdi and the reappearance. I had a fantastic conversation with Shafiq Govani, who was talking about community sports. Do get in touch. Hashtag Morning Baraka. Hashtag Morning Baraka on Twitter. you can get in touch. Give us your daily Islamic morning routines. We're going to gather a lot more and give them to you on Monday so that you can possibly put and implement them into your own lives. It's been a pleasure seeing you. It's been a pleasure hosting you today. And inshallah next week, Monday, same time, 10:30 in the morning, UK time. And we'll see you then. So by means of ending the show, I'd like to also spare a moment and thought for our awaited Savior, Imam Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif, and pray for his reappearance, and also pray that we have active intidar. Don't forget us in your du'as, and inshallah we'll see you on Monday. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
العريش رب العوالم رسم فاطمة ساق العريش رب العوالم رسم فاطمة ثالث اسم على اللوح خط القلم